Hi everyone, Ian Harvey, your massage therapist. Today we're going to be talking about body mechanics. More specifically, body mechanics for a low table and for very lazy people, such as myself. I get a lot of questions asking about my low table, how I can use such a low table, and occasionally people yelling at me about my poor body mechanics, but I really just have lazy body mechanics. I do things a little bit differently. I do sloth style massage. So this is what works for me. I've been doing this for about 9 years now and I'm injury free. But if this feels funky for your body, if this hurts your back, then try altering it, try slowly easing into it, or keep doing what you're doing. By the way, if you'd like to skip ahead, maybe to the part where I'm actually working on a client, you can use the time codes down in the description. Now, the main change with my style of body mechanics is this low table. I've got mine set at about the top of my knee. When I have a client on here, it'll come up to the top of my thigh or thereabouts. I keep my table low like this to conserve my energy. If I use a table that's too high, I'm having to use my arm muscles too much, I'm having to use my chest and my shoulders too much, versus with a low table, I can get over my client and kind of relax into each move. It's a matter of lounging rather than of pushing. This also lets me apply deep pressure more easily because I can just drop my hips and suddenly I'm applying most of my body weight to my client. Standard body mechanics, the kind that you probably learned in massage school, looks something like this. It involves getting deep into your stance, maybe into a squat or a lunge. It involves keeping your chest out, your shoulders back, and your butt out. And then your movement comes from your hips as well as from your arms and your shoulders. That's what I learned. It's useful, but it's tiring. My body mechanics look more like this. Yeah, I'm slouching a little bit, but it'll make sense in a second. If you're going to implement this lazy style of body mechanics, there are a few steps. First step, connect with the table. My thighs have come into contact with the table, and I've allowed my tailbone to tuck. I've gone into posterior pelvic rotation. From the side, that looks like this. I'm connected to the table by my thigh, and I'm not keeping that strict, tight low back. The second step is to move your center of gravity over your client. So, now I brought my torso over where my client is going to be, and so my body weight is translating directly down into the table. And this should feel, instead of like pressing down with your body, think of pouring your weight into your client. You're trusting your client with your body weight. The third step is to lean your way through your techniques instead of pushing your way through them. So if I want to go down and back, I'm going to direct my energy forward. I'm going to trust my weight to my client. And if I need to move at all, I'm going to do it by shuffling my feet. What do I mean by that? I just mean do this. You're going from the heel of your foot to the ball of your foot and just moving in small incremental movements, which is a lot easier than taking a whole step. It takes less energy and you can incorporate it into your longer moves. So let's see what that looks like on a client. This is my friend Vanessa.
Hello.
Let's say that I want to do a stroke down the spinal erectors. First, I'm going to integrate my body weight into the table. In this case, it just means putting a single thigh along the edge of the table here. Next, I'm going to get my body weight over my client. So I'm going to bring my torso forward and allow my fist to sink in a bit. And then I'm going to angle my pressure down toward her feet. And I'm just going to lean my way through this move. This allows me to do very slow techniques with barely any effort. I'm not using my shoulder muscles for much of anything. I'm not using my pecs here. I'm barely using my triceps. Basically, I'm only having to stabilize. As the technique goes forward, suddenly my pressure is far out in front of me. So if I want to follow my hands, I can do so by shuffling. If shuffling isn't comfortable for you, you can also take a step. Just don't feel like you need to be locked in place. And when I want to finish this move, I can either shuffle all the way over, get my hips under myself and stand up, or I can stay out far behind my hand and then press my way up. So I'm kind of backpedaling to my starting position. And as you can tell, this is easiest to do when you don't have a lot of oil or lotion. I'm currently using just a little bit of jojoba oil because I need to be able to trust my body weight to my client. If there were a lot of oil here, it would speed up my technique, and it would mean that I can't quite count on being able to give her all of my body weight. The fourth step is to use both hands. I'm never just using one hand to do any given technique. The other hand is always present, so my fist here is being kind of sharp, while my other hand is just kind of floating nearby, and it's being comforting. It can either just be nearby, it can be connected to the move, or it can be moving away. I can be creating some fascial traction. But mostly, this hand is providing comfort. This is sharp, this is comforting. It's very similar to the mother hand in shiatsu. The bonus to having this other hand in play is that I'm never just relying on my one hand to take all of my body weight. The other hand is always there so that I can distribute my weight more evenly. As you practice this low table style of body mechanics more, you'll find that you can trade and change the amount that you're pressing with each hand in order to support yourself better and to help yourself stand up from techniques. Also, this hand is giving me more sensory input. I'm not getting a lot of sensory input with my knuckles here. I wouldn't be able to read Braille with my metacarpophalangeal joints. So this hand is telling me where all of these bony landmarks are, so that as I'm using this fist, I'm not impinging on any spinous processes. The fifth step is to redirect your force. So I'm not always above my client as I work. Sometimes I want to be applying pressure at an angle. I could step way back and use straight arms here, but I can also tuck my elbow into my side or into my hip or into my thigh, and then as I lean forward, that translates my body weight in a different direction. I can then move that elbow up to keep that going at this new angle until finally I remove the elbow from my side and I'm back to the straight arm. So let's bring all these steps together. First of all, I'm going to integrate my body weight into the table. I have connected my thighs with the side of the table, and I've tucked my tailbone just a bit, so this is a very lazy position for me. There's no strain from my back here. I'm not having to hold my body weight up because I've got my butt stuck out. No, I've got my tailbone tucked. It's a very lazy position. Next, I'm going to get my body weight over my client. So I just lean forward just a bit. I pour my body weight into my client, and I trust my client's body to be able to receive that. And then I lean and shuffle my way through this technique. So I'm way down here. I want to get all the way up to, let's say, the ischial tuberosity. So how the heck am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to shuffle. I am going to lighten up here in this popliteal space. Then I'm going to reassert my pressure. I'm shuffling, and I'm continuing this stroke. This left elbow isn't precisely tucked, but it is staying close to my side so that it's providing a little bit of this impetus forward. I'm allowing my hands to get out in front of me, which allows me to apply some nice deep pressure at an excellent myofascial angle. But how the heck am I going to stand up from here? Well, I can either use this other hand to press my way back up, or from here I can just shuffle my feet forward, get my hips under me, and then I can stand. The last step is to sometimes vary this technique or just throw it out entirely. If about halfway through the massage you're starting to get tired, or maybe 5 minutes in you think, oh, I don't want to get tired, then vary your technique. So instead of doing this connected to the table, leaning over my client thing, occasionally I'll step back and I'll do some nice petrissage. I'll do some nice Swedish strokes. Sometimes I'll stick my butt out. Sometimes I will make a stroke into a stretch. So right now I'm stretching my hamstrings just a bit. If I'm doing a really long sustained move to try to work with trigger points or just because I feel like it, sometimes I'll do a little dance. In other words, have fun with it, change before you get tired, and if anything hurts, either back off or talk to me in the comments about it and we'll do some troubleshooting. We'll try to figure out what's going on. All right, let me know what you think. Consider subscribing and I'll see you next time.